Right now on No More Down Low. The Bible.
Men are being feminized and women are becoming masculine.
For decades, religious clergy have made homosexuality the #1 sin with their misinterpretation of the scriptures.
What does the Bible really say about homosexuality? I'm Janora McDuffie. We'll turn to biblical scholars for the answers.
This is Homophobia 101.
Then, youth out on the hill.
How hard are we really pushing to get the people who are not in the room?
And I'm Kendall Hogan. They're young, they're black, and they're LGBT. Here's the surprising observations from these gay activists about members of their own generation.
The young people are lost.
And she was the toast of the Sundance Film Festival. Now her long-awaited coming-of-age film is finally hitting the big screen. Janora goes one-on-one with PARIAH director Dee Rees. Plus, we'll take you to BentCom, a one-of-a-kind comic book convention where the fans come face-to-face with their favorite gay comic book creators. It's all coming up next on No More Down Low.
I'm Frenchie Davis, and this is No More Down Low.
It's all about the Winter Wonderland. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show. I'm Kendall Hogan.
And I'm Janora McDuffie. Tonight we are in Pershing Square, which is downtown Los Angeles, where the Department of Recreation and Parks have turned this into a beautiful winter escapade.
Later on, I'll give you a little bit of LGBT history about the park, and I might even ice skate. Yes, I might.
You heard it from him. We'll see about that. But first up, we've got Mark Noble and his report on Bible myths and the misinterpretation against gays.
Mark is just a couple blocks away at the Cathedral of Our Lady of Angels here in downtown Los Angeles. Mark.
Well, Kendall and Janora, this story couldn't be more timely, given that some 3,000 miles away from here in Atlanta, a key quoter of scripture and anti-gay sentiment is on the radar. Bishop Eddie Long, who had been accused of having sexual relations with young men, announced that he was stepping away from the pulpit to be with his family. This on the heels of his wife of many years filing for divorce. So we now explore the misuse of the pulpit and the biblical myths aimed at discriminating against gays.
This is Homophobia 101.
And the problem today, and the reason why society is like it is because men are being feminized and women are becoming masculine.
Anti-gay words that littered with irony as a web of hypocrisy surrounded Eddie Long this summer when he was accused of an alleged sex scandal involving young men.
I feel like David against Goliath, but I got 5 rocks and I haven't found one yet.
What he meant was, he was telling those boys, go Goliath over there and I'll join you in a minute.
Long is not alone in his fire and brimstone message that too often is found in some of the 65,000 black churches around the country, including the so-called megachurches.
It comes from homophobia is a very powerful thing. And if you think you can have a verse or a story that you can throw on the head of a gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender person to hurt them or harm them, then they're happy to do it.
And according to religious scholar Dr. Sylvia Rue, verse is oftentimes mistranslated and in many cases manipulated to fit the pulpit.
Who were dead in trespasses and sins.
Many of the people who quote the Bible know their quotes, but they don't know anything about church history. And I've noticed that most people's theology is like 3 questions deep. When I get to the 4th question, they'll say, oh, whatever, because they, first of all, they don't want to hear you anymore if you tell them anything different from what they know to be true.
And they will sit there and look up at your leadership and say, your pastor gay, I know he gay. You know why? Because the devil knows his relatives.
Which is why Rue broke down a number of myths, including the #1 condemnation: the Bible condemns same-gendered relationships.
The Bible is actually silent on consensual sexual acts and sexual orientation.
Then he goes on to say in verse number 3,
the term The word homosexual did not make it into any English translation of any Bible in the United States until 1946. So we've only been dealing with the term homosexual being in the Bible since 1946, and when it's put there, it's a mistranslation of the original Aramaic, Greek, or Hebrew.
Or myth number 2. The Old Testament teaches that God destroyed an entire city because of homosexuality. We see an interpretation here in the Last Days of Sodom and Gomorrah trailer found on YouTube.
Sodom by Gomorrah.
The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is a power myth that has been used as a heterosexual propaganda tool to damage gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people. The Bible itself in Ezekiel 16 verses 49 and 50 tells you that the sin of Sodom was that they were unhospitable to their neighbors, and they were greedy and gluttonous, had nothing to do with homosexuality. If you read that story, it's really a story about the rape of women and that not being a problem, incest between Lot and his 2 daughters. Right after Sodom is destroyed, they have sex and they get pregnant by him. And also it's about the men of the city wanting to rape angels, which has nothing to do with homosexuality.
And myth number 3, the Bible calls homosexuality an abomination.
Now, to the word abomination, that is not even a Hebrew word. That doesn't exist in the Hebrew. The Hebrew word is toava, which means ritually unclean, to enter the temple. The idea that someone could come up with an abominable word like abomination and try to hurt another person with that is unconscionable.
What is clear, according to Dr. Rue, is the church's inability to handle human sexuality at its most basic.
Especially in African American communities, the problems are biblical literacy and sexual illiteracy. So that's a bad combination.
And Dr. Rue has this piece of advice for the gays and lesbians who find themselves constantly being attacked or confronted with the verse. She says, fight fire and brimstone with fire and brimstone. We are in downtown Los Angeles. Mark Noble for No More Down Low. Kendall, back to you.
Mark, thanks for that great story. So we're here in Pershing Square in downtown Los Angeles. This place is rich in LGBT history. Long before West Hollywood became the gay mecca of Los Angeles, Pershing Square was a place. It was nationally known as a place for gay men to hang out. Even back then, there were some celebrities that were rumored to be seen here in the park. So there's a little bit of history on Pershing Square Park here in Los Angeles. Janora, what are you up to?
It's kind of smooth there, Kendall. Yeah, so I'm getting the swing of things out here on the skates. While I keep doing this, though, let's skate on to the next story. Now, Dee Rees was the darling of the Sundance Film Festival this year, where her coming-of-age film, PARIAH, garnered critical acclaim. I had a chance to sit with her and the rest of the cast of a film that was so fantastic that even Spike Lee had to come aboard. Take a look.
It's been a 6-year journey, a labor of love, but just really excited to tell the story that, you know, we were passionate about and felt strongly about.
I know for homecoming that I want to go with Craig.
And who are you going to go with, Lee?
I'm not going.
What do you mean you're not going?
If she doesn't want to go, she doesn't have to go.
For some reason, Lee just doesn't like anything I pick out for her anymore.
You look beautiful, baby.
This isn't me.
There's this new women's club up there by the liquor store. You haven't heard anything about it, right?
I never even heard of it.
I know it was about somehow related to your coming out process. Do you think there's a special relationship or a block in a relationship when it comes to mothers and how they love and accept their gay daughters?
It's not necessarily the case in all mother-daughter relationships, and Alige was a daddy's girl, so that was kind of part of her like backstory. Like she was a daddy's girl, so she and her father already had this rapport that she didn't necessarily have like with her mother.
I told you, I talked to Alike. Everything's fine.
Did you ask her?
No, because I don't have to.
What I immediately related to in terms of Alike, I just knew that feeling of not belonging and wanting to be free, not feeling free. And so that's kind of where I started from.
You don't want to face the facts.
No, that's not true. Look,
your daughter is turning into a damn man right in front of your eyes and you can't even say it. When I first read the script, I was just blown away. I mean, it was such a beautiful, beautiful story, and so powerfully and beautifully written, and just so relevant, you know, in light of what's been going on, especially of late with children, you know, committing suicide and stuff because they're being bullied or because they feel like they don't have a safe place to go. It's like that search for identity, that search, you know, to find your place and to be loved and embraced and accepted for who you are is something that we all struggle with at different points in our lives.
What if, say, somebody liked you? What if the person is kind of like a friend, but you know they like you more than that?
Any advice you would give to somebody who doesn't quite fit in a box to create your own or just be okay with being who you are?
Exactly, yeah. So like a large part of my coming out, you know, was not like the problem wasn't understanding that I love women, that was clear, but it was just like in the queer world, like how to be. So I would go to the clubs and I wasn't hard enough, I wasn't soft enough, I was in between, and you know, I had to realize that it's okay to come as I am. You know, I can just be me, like I don't have to check a box. So that'd be my advice for someone who's coming into themselves. Just be what's true for you.
I am broken. I am broken open. Breaking is freeing. Broken is freedom. I am not broken. I'm free.
Dee, the film, and the entire cast have already won numerous awards and are on the brink of cleaning up again this award season. So I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more from Dee.
I sure hope so. I cannot wait to see this film.
It was great.
Really?
Yeah.
Can't wait. Well, coming up next, some surprising thoughts from young black LGBT activists about the state of their generation.
And then we'll take you to a one-of-a-kind LGBT comic book convention called BentCom to meet some of the creators of your favorite comic books.
I love comic books. I cannot wait to see that.
Wear your geek glasses.
Oh, shut up. We'll be right back. Welcome back to No More Down Low. We're still here in downtown Los Angeles at beautiful Pershing Square Park. Although it's a beautiful winter wonderland right now, in the summer this place is an excellent place for all the downtown people to come and meet, gather with friends, grab a coffee, and just hang out under the beautiful Southern California skies. Let's go check out Janora. Janora, what are you doing now?
Hey Kendall, just over here taking a quick break from the ice, that's all. Well, over the past several months, we've been featuring segments from the National Black Justice Coalition's Out on the Hill Summit, which took place this past September as part of the Congressional Black Caucus Weekend. Well, this month we feature a panel discussion from some very involved gay and lesbian youth who are open and honest about the state of their generation. Our Capitol Hill correspondent Rodney Nickens Jr. filed this report.
Janora, the issues and concerns of black LGBT youth took center stage at the National Black Justice Coalition's second annual Out on the Hill Leadership Summit.
I feel as if the young people are lost in the LGBTQ community. A lot of people don't really want to get involved in a serious aspect with the LGBTQ community. They're either in the club. It's just kind of an ignorant kind of vibe, and we just want to get serious about it because it's our community. It's something that we need to fight for our future.
Type in the words black gays on YouTube and chances are this is what you'll see. Young black gay people partying, dancing, and voguing. But is this an accurate portrayal of the next LGBTQ generation? Are they active or just passive when it comes to LGBT civil rights and their future?
How hard are we really pushing to get the people who are not in the room in the room?
That was the question put to these young black LGBT activists who attended the National Black Justice Coalition's Out on the Hill Leadership Summit back in September during the Congressional Black Caucus Weekend.
So we have to go to these people. Marriage equality is not an issue for me. I'm 22 years old. I do not want to be married anytime soon. For me, my issue is being able to pay off these student loans.
Sometimes a lot of us feel inferior and we don't feel like we can participate because it doesn't relate to us. Sometimes you come off a little superior and a lot of us feel like we can't be involved in that because we're not there yet. You have to equip us with those tools to say that I can be a part of the movement.
The reality is, one, y'all are amazing. Thank you. This is step one to get you organized, as I talked about this morning. And then that organization forms its own agenda.
And so it appears that the level of conversation at this year's NBJC Summit has served as a call to action for these young LGBT activists.
I didn't expect to learn as much as I did learn at the panel discussion.
It was very inspiring and, for me, life-changing.
I feel like I became a much stronger activist.
We need to fight for our future, because when we come to the age where we're ready to adopt or have a family or live in that type of environment, it may not be available to us because we didn't do anything about it now.
And with the pledge to register 100,000 Black LGBT youth by the 2012 general election, all of the panelists agreed they would have their work cut out for them. Reporting on Capitol Hill for No More Down Low, I'm Rodney Nickens Jr.
Many of the youth who participated in Out on the Hill are from historically Black colleges and universities. They vowed to go back, spread the word, and then return next year in even greater numbers. Kendall?
All right, I don't care. Call me a geek. I love me some comic books. You may be surprised to learn, though, a lot of the creative minds behind the comic books, they are gays and lesbians. Well, Laurencia Dandridge learned that when she went to Bent Com.
Everyone has the right to share their work, and so that's what I wanted to do.
Fed up with his works being scrutinized at mainstream comic book conventions, artist Sean Holman created BentCom, a two-day LGBT-leaning comic creators convention in Los Angeles.
I wanted to create a space where they didn't have to hide their work or feel like people are going to give them a certain look or a dirty look because they're sharing it.
And among those sharing their gay superheroes and heroines is a host of Black, gay, and lesbian comic creators who not only draw pretty pictures and write clever dialogue, but, like Sean, they also run their own comic book companies.
I've been doing comics since about 2004. This is when I started Care About Comics.
I am the co-creator, co-scriptwriter, musical director, composer, and vocalist for the movie Strange Frame, an animated, lesbian animated science fiction musical feature film.
I self-publish and write my own comic books. I also co-wrote and co-directed a feature film called Souls of Splendor.
And while their mediums are diverse, they all have one thing in common.
The male anatomy it's what I'm attracted to. So that's what I draw.
Girl meets girl, girl loses girl, girl saves girl, the whole spiel.
I've actually had a couple of really good fans come up and tell me that my work helped them come out.
Openly gay artist Joe Phillips is one of the world's top creators in both the straight and gay comic book universe. He's sketched for both Marvel and DC Comics in his 20-year career. And though he creates a diverse ethnic rainbow of characters for the gay market, his Caucasian characters are the ones that bring home the bank.
First and foremost, I'm a capitalist and I gotta pay rent, and cute blonde white boys sell. And I can put a fine point on it, and I can draw all the hot black guys I want to, but I noticed that my sales were not as vibrant. And I don't have a day job. This is my day job, so I have to really respond to the market.
Becoming a comic book artist is no overnight task. Nearly all of these talented gay and lesbian comic creators have been sketching since they were toddlers.
Well, I've been drawing all my life.
As a young girl, I was always drawn to the fantastic.
The first time I knew I could draw, 3 years old, that I remember. My mother said I've always been drawing even before that.
And for some, like erotic artist Jezza Smiles, whose works are a bit too risque for our cameras, his childhood nude doodlings often landed him in hot water.
If my mom was here, she would tell you how I got in trouble. I got beatings all the time, like Thundercats and He-Man. It was just instinctive to draw them naked.
So what's their advice to fledgling LGBT comic book artists?
Get a day job. No. No, I would say learn your craft, learn your people. Learn who is buying your work.
Make the product that you want to see reflected back, and coming from the heart.
The only person who can keep you from doing it is you, believing yourself enough to make it happen, and the rest will take care of itself.
For No More Down Low, this is Laurencia Dandridge.
In its second year, BentCom has grown from a small handful of participants to over 70 plus vendors. And Sean just announced the dates for 2012 will be in early December.
For more information on VentCom, go to the resources link on our No More Down Low website.
Well, that's our show for today. Here's what's coming up on our next show.
On the next No More Down Low, he's the man who makes the First Lady look fabulous.
Michelle Obama, strong mind.
We'll introduce you to Frederick Rutledge, Michelle Obama's makeup artist, and discover what it's like working in the White House.
All that and more on our next show, so be sure to join us. But before we go, we'd like to thank the LA Department of Recreation and Parks for letting us hang out at the rink tonight.
So, from the Pershing Square Ice Rink in downtown Los Angeles, reminding you to spread love and not hate, I'm Janora McDuffie.
And I'm Kendall Hogan. We'll see you next time.
Don't even
say that about my skating.
Get out your notebook.
Listen, if it were on roller skates, I'd tear it up.